Hey, what's up? This is Sports Truth. I'm your host, Jordan Harris. So today we're going to be talking about Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Just giving my thoughts on their season so far. It's been a crazy roller coaster, up and down season for them. It's Deion's first year as a Division One. I guess I shouldn't say Division One because HBCU is considered Division One, but it's his first year as a Power Five coach. So I want to talk about the season and my thoughts on his future and Colorado's future and all that stuff. First, I want to go through a real quick recap of what's going on in their season. Not every game, but just want to talk about some of the highlights of their season and then my thought process as those games happened throughout their season. So the first thing is when I found out that Deion was hired and took that job at Colorado, I was really disappointed. I was shocked that he was leaving at HBCU just based on everything that he had said about HBCUs and how he wanted to be a breath of fresh air for HBCUs. He also talked about how he wanted student athletes to understand that they don't have to go to a Power Five school. They don't have to go to these huge Division One schools. Everything that he would say, everything that they needed was at HBCUs. He said that multiple times. Everything you need is here. Everything you need is here. You don't have to chase those big schools. So he talked about being a breath of fresh air for black colleges, but I believe once he left black colleges, he ended up actually just being the final nail in the coffin as far as making HBCUs on the map and being heavily considered by big time recruits. So you couldn't really hate the move though because he was one getting paid a whole lot, and then if you just looked at the facilities that he was going from and then coming to, like it's really hard to hate the move. You just got to be honest and be like, would you do it? And if I'm thinking about being where he was at Jackson State and then jumping to Colorado, I mean, it's hard to deny that you wouldn't do the same thing. So you can't be too mad at the man for that. Anyway, so that was my thoughts then. Once he got to Colorado, the roster was crazy. We saw the press conference, or it wasn't a press conference, but we saw the behind the scenes meeting that he had with all of his players or all of the players that were on the previous team at Colorado. And obviously they had won one game all year. So the players that he had in that room were not the kind of players that he was wanting to bring in. He was talking about how he had this luggage and it was Louis and all that stuff, and basically saying that he had a bunch of players from Jackson State and elsewhere coming in to take those guys' place, which, again, you can't fault the dude for that. They had one win all season. Obviously, they're not good enough to be Division One, Power Five school winners. They're just not. They went 1-11, I guess it was. It's craziness. So you couldn't be too mad about that. But he overhauled almost the entire roster, brought in all these new players. And when I saw that, I was thinking, this team is probably going to be a mess, a dysfunctional mess. And then I saw that one of the analysts before the season said that Colorado was the worst roster in football. And I was like, that sounds crazy, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just hear this guy say that. I'm like, that sounds crazy. That can't be right, especially since he brought in all these new people. So season got started. They played TCU, and they actually beat TCU. And this is the same school that was in the championship game the year before. So if you're telling me that you weren't thinking Colorado was probably really good to have just beaten the previous runner-up, you lying. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all were thinking, well, damn, Colorado might be pretty good, actually. They just beat the runner-up from last year. But then my next thought was TCU did lose a whole bunch of people. Like, are they any good? That was my next thought. Like, maybe TCU is not as good as we think they are. I really can't remember what they were ranked. It seemed like they were ranked, like, TCU was ranked like maybe 12 or something at that point. But it was a really good win at that time. But then since then, like, TCU hasn't been any good. I think they've lost. They're almost. I think they're one game under 500 right now. So TCU is just not any good. And you know that you can't know that until the season plays out, obviously. So then after they beat TCU, I'm thinking, well, maybe Colorado is pretty good. And then I'm thinking, or is TCU just not very good? Then the post-game conference. I've watched every post-game conference for Colorado this year, every one of them. And the first one that I watched, I had a lot of concerns about it. The concerns that I had is like it seemed like Dion was coming across as a little too braggadocious and I told you so after winning one game. And, like this dude has accomplished all kinds of stuff. He played in the World Series. He won Super Bowls. He's in the Hall of Fame, NFL. He played basketball at a super high level in high school. He could anything he's tried to do, he's pretty much accomplished it. So it's hard for me to second guess a man like that. But sitting on my couch watching him, I'm thinking he seems a little too cocky right now to have only won one game. He's telling people, I keep receipts. I heard what you said. I heard what you said. Do you believe now? Like, almost like trying to embarrass these people who are asking him questions. That concerned me a little bit because I'm thinking, you realize you have 11 more opportunities for them to throw egg in your face, right? That was my thinking on it. So that was when they beat TCU. And then they beat Nebraska, and they played against Colorado State, which was a crazy game. Colorado State wasn't supposed to be anywhere near Colorado's talent level. But this game proved to me, like they ended up winning in overtime, and it proved to me that Colorado might not be as talented as we thought. I thought maybe they were a little overconfident because they were getting big noon kickoffs and first take. Like everybody wanted to talk to him. So I'm thinking, all this talk that Dion is doing, it might be rubbing off on his players a little too much. They might be a little overconfident, not preparing like they should be, and they almost got beat by this Colorado State team that, frankly, sucks. But it did also tell me that Colorado was pretty tough because Colorado State, I don't care what you call it, they played a dirty game. They played a dirty brand of football. Ended up Travis Hunter ended up getting hurt for a few weeks through that game. Shedeur Sanders took some he took some nasty hits that game, dirty hits even. So it showed me that Colorado might not be as talented as I thought. Maybe they were overconfident, and then also they are tough though. Like of those two negative things, the one real positive that Colorado State brought out of Colorado, it told me that Colorado is real tough, and I like to see that quite a bit. Then USC and Oregon came along. Those games screamed, you're going to lose like crazy. Like when I saw that come up on the schedule, I'm not a betting man, but I knew without a shadow of a doubt that they were going to lose both games. I knew they were going to lose to Oregon, but then the USC game after that, I'm like, Caleb Williams, I thought was like the untouchable man. I mean, he's showing some flaws now, throughout the season. But at that point, I mean, he had just come off of winning the Heisman. He had put together like 4 flawless games. I'm like, this dude is going to kill Colorado. But they played USC pretty tough. So I knew they were going to lose those games, and they lost them. So whatever. Let's go ahead and move past that. Then Arizona State came. I watched the first half. They were, looking pretty good, and they ended up winning that game. So I'm thinking, okay, I see what Colorado's going to do. They're going to beat every team that they're supposed to beat. So if they're playing a team that's not ranked, they'll beat them. If they're playing a team that's in the top 10 or top 15, they'll probably lose to them. Like they just seem like maybe Colorado was meant to be like number 25 in the country. Anybody who's better than 25 would beat Colorado. Anybody who's worse than 25 or not ranked, I should say, would lose to Colorado. It seemed like they were just right there on that brink of being a decent or a good team. And then the Stanford game happened. Lord have mercy. So that game was crazy. What can you say about that? They were up 29 points, I think it was, and ended up losing somehow. And it kind of reminds me of my Miami Hurricanes. I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, so it reminded me of them because whenever they would lose to Florida State or Virginia Tech, they would lose the rest of the games that year. And it kind of feels like that's what's going on with Colorado. They lost this Stanford game. It was such a shock. I don't think they're going to rebound this year. They've lost every game since then, and now they play Utah this coming week. And I think Utah is going to beat the brakes off of them. So that's how their season's gone so far. My emotions on Colorado has been up and down, up and down, up and down. I really don't know what to expect from them from week to week. But here's my overall thoughts on everything going forward. Dion, to me, seems to really care about the kids, and he stands on morals. So to me, it seems like he cares about the kids more than he cares about a paycheck. Like just from what I've seen and heard from him, that's what I've gathered. It seems like he really cares about the kids and really cares about teaching them and standing on principles and morals. One thing I can say, like, that would give a decent example on that is Cormani McClain. Cormani McClain, as I said before, I'm a Miami fan. As you can see right here, that would prove that I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan. Cormani was supposed to be signing with Miami. He did some weird, almost shady type stuff towards the end of his recruiting process. Ended up going to Colorado. And then people expected him to be the starting corner on the other side of Travis Hunter. That's what everybody expected, right? And as the weeks went on and the weeks went on through training camp, people were like, well, he's probably not going to start. He's probably not going to start. He might start at the slot maybe, but he's not going to be opposite Travis Hunter. First game came and went, he didn't play. Second game came and went, Cormani didn't play. And they were like, well, why is Cormani McClain not playing? And the coach was like, well, Cormani's holding himself back. So that continued to progress throughout the year. Now he's playing spot minutes. He started, I think, 2 games. He's done a decent job. He's missed a few reads. 1 or 2 games he's gotten just picked on, which was crazy to see. But Coach Sanders, Coach Prime, talked about Cormani's lack of discipline and lack of preparing for these opponents, which is why he wasn't playing in these games. And I think almost any other coach in America, especially with the pressure of people transferring super fast, I think so many coaches in America would have went ahead and just played Cormani, whether he was preparing the right way or not. But Dion stands on morals, and he cares about the kids and cares about the fact that they need to prepare differently than they had before. Most of these kids come in from high school, and when they were in high school, they were so much more athletically gifted than everybody else that they didn't have to put in the extra time with film and everything to learn certain things. And Dion understands that he's like, these other dudes in here are just as talented as you are, so you're going to have to put in work with film and in the weight room and everything else. So I really appreciate that about Dion, is that he stands on morals and he cares about the kids learning things outside of what they have currently learned at their previous school. Another thing that I've learned about Dion and this Colorado team throughout this year is, to me, it seems like they've put too much focus on what they shouldn't be focused on. And this reminds me of Floyd Mayweather. I'm a big Floyd Mayweather fan. I think he's the best boxer of all time. I think he's the greatest boxer ever. And if you're talking about just best defensive boxer, it's not even close. But anyway, so with Floyd, he does a whole lot of talking. A whole lot of people cannot stand Floyd Mayweather. They can't stand him. But what I appreciate about the dude is that sure, nobody talks as much as Floyd, but also nobody works as hard as Floyd either. If you've seen his training camps, he trains like crazy. He trains like a madman. He runs countless miles, does countless sit-ups, does all kind of repetition work. Like, he is a madman in the gym. He works his butt off. He studies his opponent. So when he gets into the ring, he can do all the talking he wants to because he knows he's going to beat this dude because he's trained harder than him. He's worked harder than him. So with Colorado, I see them doing all that Mayweather talking, but I don't see them doing that Mayweather training. I don't see that paying off. And their focus just seems like it's all focused on doing the talking. It's not focused on the training. They want to focus on, I saw Dion selling the shades and stuff. That's cool. We all want to make money. I'm not mad at that. That's cool. But I think that affected his team. I saw like I said earlier, Big Noon kickoff. Like every kickoff show that you want to think of was at Colorado. First Take was at Colorado. Undisputed was at Colorado. Like, they're doing all these different shows. Again, that's cool, but I do think it impacted his team. They're doing documentaries. I know that Dion's son, he does the well-off media thing where he records the entire week, basically, of practice and the game when he puts it online. I think that is a major distraction, and I think that impacts his team. Like the flashy stuff like Shador flashing the watch all the time. Again, it's cool, but I think it impacts the team. Penalties, it shows a lack of discipline. So that's one of the things that's really concerning me is how many penalties they've gotten. And like when you see your coach on the sideline, which I love the fact that Deion is being himself, wearing the hoodie, wearing the chain, wearing the hat. Like I love that. But from the outside looking in, you can do that as long as you're winning. But when you start losing, people start saying, "Oh, that's the discipline problem. That's why we're not hiring people like Deion. That's why we're not hiring people like Deion." Right there, you see that? So that's what I'm a little concerned about. Um, and then like there is a difference between confident and being annoying. So if you're into boxing, I'll give another analogy on this. So another comparison. So Mayweather, he is confident. You cannot deny that. Mayweather is confident. And then if you know who Adrian Broner is, he is annoying. He does a whole lot of talking. He's annoying. So Mayweather talks a whole lot. He's confident. Broner talks a whole lot. He's annoying. So what is the one difference in these two people that makes this person confident and this person annoying? It's winning. That's what the difference is between confidence and annoying. If you're winning, you're considered confident. If you're losing, like Broner getting knocked out all over the place, then you're just being annoying. So I think all of this stuff is cool. The selling the shades, big noon kickoff, first take, documentaries, all that stuff is fine as long as you're winning games. And right now, they're not. They're getting smacked around by anybody they play these last few weeks. So then it's like you're just kind of annoying people by doing all this talking and being on every show. Um, I do think that it would behoove, if you haven't heard that word in a while, probably it would behoove Dion, I think, to dial that talking back just a little bit, just so they can remain focused. And then, like the post game conferences, I've watched everyone. You cannot deny that Dion is a leader. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to compete for top 5 recruiting classes, and he's going to win multiple championships. And I don't believe he's a flash in the pan. But that's all that I got for you today. I appreciate you watching the video. As always, God bless. Take care. Peace.